Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we've got Kieran back for another grilling session. Hopefully we can get some alpha out of him in this one. He's been on holidays, taking a bit of the piss, and he's come back and got sick. But how you feeling now, dude?
Yeah, not too bad. Feeling quite a bit better. I was not feeling good on Monday, Tuesday, but yeah, no, it's all seeming to be okay. I'm
Back
gonna
in,
survive.
back into full motion. Yeah, you've been going pretty hard on Twitter, I've seen. So good, good to see you back at it.
Yeah, if I'm active on Twitter, I'm generally working. So yeah, it's been. I actually have not left my house since I came back, and we're going on nearly 2 weeks now. So probably a good thing because I ended up with the COVID. But the week before that, I didn't know it was just me literally sitting on the computer catching up because I did not feel good about going away to Mexico for 11 or 12 days or whatever it was.
Making up for it. Go get some vitamin D at some stage, dude. But
Mm.
quickly at the start here, I don't want to spend too much time on it because I feel like it's been assessed a few times in recent interviews, but I just wanted to go through some release schedules, see if anything has changed. So we'll try and rapid fire through these so we can get onto some new stuff, but I figure it's something we want to cover. Staking
Sure.
V2 and SILV launching, we were waiting on contracts to be audited. Is that still the case?
Yeah, so the new SILV is actually going to be sooner than you think. It'll probably be, I would say, mid next week. We will get the new token out. A little bit of a debate on what the naming convention is for this token. It's we definitely wanted it to just be what it was, which was a synthetic ILV, but now we don't really want to confuse people by saying like SILV2 or something and then have people, searching and they're like, do I go for the first one or the second one? It starts getting a little bit too tricky for the user. But yeah, that will be out in like ideally mid next week, which I think that's going to help out with a lot of the anxiety that's out there in the community right now, and even to a certain extent a little bit of the panic of like, where's my SILV gone? You're going to get it. You'll get it back very, very soon.
And that's going to be on layer one.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that token will be on layer one. And there's plans to move it to layer two, but for now, layer one.
Yeah, and that'll be obviously be anything that you already had, but obviously any pending staking rewards will have to wait for staking.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
But you are still accruing the rewards.
Yeah, obviously.
Just as long as you haven't unstaked.
Yep, too easy. And then for staking V2, what are you thinking? End of the month or something, or it's just really out of your control now?
It's 100% out of our control. Let me just quickly see if there's an update from Sam. I don't think there is, but yeah, still the same thing on that one. Probably end of month if everything is okay. The audit seems to be looking pretty good. Sam found one thing, but we've already fixed that. So yeah, it's end of month is hopefully the time.
Yeah, perfect. And then land sale, I think you said a couple of weeks after the staking V2 is in place.
Land sale is a little bit trickier because we're still really, really trying to utilize a layer two for that.
Yeah.
And where we're at right now is a bit of a hybrid. So it's essentially it's going to be sold on layer one, but then minted on layer two. And so you'll have your land asset on a layer two. So you're not going to have to pay any gas costs if you decide to sell that or whatever. But yeah, it's 95% confirmed that that's the way that we're going to go with the land sale.
Yeah, sick. And then Illuvitars will be after land sale at some stage?
Yep. So like there's a lot of shit happening, but Illuvitars is pretty much done now. The platform, as I leaked the other day, that's just being built at the moment. So, we gotta work out what happens after the land sale. I think that's going to be a pretty crazy event for both the community and probably a bit of token volatility.
Yeah.
So we'll let that settle. See how, obviously with that comes the first time that we're going to be distributing revenue. So we just need to see how all of that plays out when we're ready. We've also got a really cool trailer for Illuvitars. So we're going to start hyping it up massively. But yeah, maybe 2 weeks after the land sale, we'll open up Illuvitars.
Perfect. And then closed beta. When are we kicking that off?
If it was up to me, last week, but we're finishing the last round of polishing now. We're not implementing anything new as of, I think, last Friday. And so it's all about just polishing it, making sure that the visual effects are as good as they can be, making sure that character movement makes sense. And that's pretty much it. So again, we're talking end of month.
Yeah,
busy
couple months coming up, 100%, dude. But with that one, like I know, like in Aaron's post and stuff, he spoke about, like gradually opening it up to more people, and then eventually the idea of that, like sort of like pre-open beta or the closed beta being openly accessible. Is that still something that you guys are thinking of or looking towards?
I think the plan is just to. I think what we're going to do is just expand it, right? Like if 50 people are playing it and they go, it's 80% good. I've found one bug every day that I play this game. That's what a beta is, right? Like that's literally why you do it. We need to gather that feedback. Obviously, we're quality testing all the time, but we miss things, right? And that's why you do a beta test. And so my point there is, if it ends up that, it's not something catastrophic that our team isn't seeing or whatever, I'm of the belief that we should open it up to 500 people in the next week, and then 5,000, and then 50,000. Then almost the training grounds becomes your open beta, really. Yep. And then, you just add a new feature to the open beta, and all of a sudden the ranked arena is open and whatever else like that.
But the training grounds would end up being, you wouldn't be catching your own assets. You'd be using like temp assets to basically play through the survival mode is the gist of it. Yeah.
Temporary. I am now Illuvium Zero. The only reason Illuvium Zero exists is because we were trying to mitigate the disappointment from our community when we said, hey, it's no longer going to be Q3, it's going to be Q1. Now that's looking like probably early Q2. We didn't want to disappoint them, and we wanted to have something, even though Illuvium Zero in the first place was never intended for the first, until Illuvium launches, intended to be a play to earn game. At least it was a game that you could get in, you could see what Illuvium was about and be doing something, right? Instead of just chatting in Discord. There's things like, leaderboards and all that kind of stuff. You can still compete, it's just you can't earn. Now, when I saw the training grounds, I was like, well, this is our thing. This is our gap stop. People are sitting there going, you've delayed. And we have, for good reasons. You're going to get a way, way better game at the end of it. But at the same time, we still have this problem of people wanting to do stuff in the Illuvium community, and we don't have a product yet. So when I saw that, I was like, well, fuck, just make that the open beta, and then we'll roll out new features, add the arenas in, open up the open world, and we just reset everything. All the assets go, you don't earn any of those NFTs. It's all wiped. Everyone starts on a fair launch, and just give something to the people, because once you see and play this game, you see the scope that of what we're trying to build here, and you go, it's that aha moment that I've been waiting for everyone to get is sitting right here, right now. So it's science Siri. I don't know what I say, but for the last couple of days, it's triggering my Siri. But
what are you using Apple for?
Oh, I will never go to PC. I want to blow that thing up. But yeah, it's so that's kind of where we're at.
It's one of those ones where you sort of like, it's a pickle that you get in because you want to release something early so people are satisfied, but then when people get it, they'll complain that it's not complete. So you're trying to you got to try and find a balance, because I've been noticing that in a lot of, especially this, like the play to earn space, it's like there's a lot of people just launching incomplete products that don't feel complete. So it's like you want to strike that balance. But I think the idea of having like a genuine beta where people just play the combat, you're not, there's no money involved in it yet. You can experience, and then you transition into that full game where, you catch your Illuvials, and then for the start, it'll just be catching, and then eventually implement the arena, all that sort of stuff. But you said for the actual quote unquote launch, open beta launch, you're thinking early Q2.
The open beta, sorry.
Yeah, like the proper
early Q2. Yeah, early Q2. Yeah.
Perfect. And how's you go?
Sorry, if you've got a situation where you've got 200, 300,000 people playing the training grounds, it actually, like, the engineers have done a fantastic job, like, and the game designers have done a really good job. It teaches you how to play, right? So I reckon, at that stage, that's when we would go back to the community and say to them, okay, you've got something to play here. Maybe we write an IIP up and come up with some sort of an idea that allows us to start distributing either tokens or someone mentioned in Discord the other day, exclusive Illuvitar accessories and stuff like that. Maybe we do that, and get people in the game playing. And then at that stage, we say to the community, hey, we can release the open beta right now, right? Like we can do it right now. Or if we need, we can polish for another month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and then get you something that's 50% better for the real launch. That's an easier conversation to have when you've got something in their hands. And I mean, staking is fine, but I mean, even that's paused at the moment. So we don't even have that, right? So there's not many things that you can do in Illuvium. And so I think maybe that's a conversation that we have. And then maybe the community goes, no, we just want the game, get it out now. You can polish it while we're playing. That's also fine.
Yeah, because it's still going to be launched under the premise of being a beta anyway. So you've got to accept that it is going to be a work in progress as well. But with the raise you were looking at for mobile, obviously that took a bit of a hit in concept due to like the markets just going completely down. But are you still looking at doing that raise to speed up the mobile version and stuff like that?
100%. Yeah, we've just started. Fucking Pedro, he loves it. I pitched him on the idea and what the platform is going to look like and all of that kind of stuff. And he's like, I love this. Like, just give me a couple of days. I need to rack my brain around, how we do this. And like, it's kind of meant to be a pretty simple platform where, you just purchase, and the more you lock up, the higher your discount is. It uses an oracle to get the price of ILV at the current time. Seems pretty straightforward to me, but Pedro is going to come back with some kind of crazy shit, and we'll see what it is. But in terms of is it going ahead? Yes. The only thing, and I'm in the background. This is, I guess, what sort of isn't known, and I'm in the background having probably 4 capital conversations every single day with VCs. And so it's not like we got to start the whole process again from when I started talking about this 3 months ago. They're chomping at the bit to get into Illuvium. The trouble that we have right now is, and essentially this is the public's funds, right? Like it's the DAO's funds, which is, I own a percentage of that, but only a percentage, right? So I've got to do the right thing by the DAO, and I've got to try and maximize what that raise can potentially be and how many tokens we need to give away to get that amount, right? And so with this huge downturn that has just occurred, it's not really wise for us, especially when we are sitting on, $40 million in a vault and 2.5, 3 years runway with the team numbers that we have. It doesn't really make fiscal sense to go and do a raise right now.
And flog off tokens cheap.
Yeah. It doesn't. I like, especially not when we're sitting on this beta. Like once this beta comes out and people see this and they're playing this and whatever, they're going to be like, holy shit, okay, this is what he was talking about. This is actually a game. Now, at that point, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think that's a better strategy than going to market right now. I think we're going to get a more of a premium if we wait. That's kind of why we're delaying it.
100%. And like with that one too, like, because I spoke to Santiago as well, because I was asking him about it, like from an investor's perspective, like would that turn you off? And he's sort of like, no, when you see the horse that you want to bet on it no matter when. It's just more of the matter of it's more costly to Illuvium to do it. Would you consider using some of those funds that you have for the runway to actually put together that development for the mobile and then do the raise later? Like, is that an option?
Yeah, it is. But so we have 2.5 years runway now. That's assuming a 200. I think the model was like 225 people that we input into it, which we're not at, by the way. We're growing to that. That's what I think we're going to get to in the next few months. But 2.5 years runway, while it may seem like a lot in a startup and when you're looking at trying to build the largest studio in the world, right? You need to be capital efficient. And without us having a product out in the market, I think us doubling down and going and hiring, say, like 50 mobile developers, which is the plan to do with this money. Yes, we do have the money to do that. And there's probably a 99.9% chance that we're never, ever going to need to use the external money apart from, what we're generating from revenue. It's still, until it's a reality, even that 0.1% chance that some crazy thing happens and we end up in a bear market for like 3 years and everyone's project goes down to $1, that's a situation where I want to say, we're all good. We've already performed our raise. We've got $250 million in the bank account. Even if GameFi adoption takes an extra 5 years, we'll be here. Don't worry. That's kind of the reason for it.
Yeah, the risk is a low chance, but the consequence is huge. So you don't want to over leverage yourself in that sense. Is essentially what's happening. And like,
100%.
and at the end of the day, as long as you got a playable game, yes, it's on PC. I know, like, that's just tied into one of the common questions I've been seeing, which is like low end PCs. It's something that gets brought up every day in Discord. I just wanted to touch it because it got asked to me so much in the comments. Like, have you guys been tuning in on like what type of PCs you'll need to use for the game?
Not specifically, but you like, as in, we don't have a GPU list that works with the game yet, purely because we don't know exactly what those specs are going to be. We have like a range where we're targeting to try and get down to, but we are really like, we're fully aware that a vast majority of this market is mobile, and so we are, we don't want to start cutting out PCs, put it that way, right?
Yeah.
So we're going for like low to sort of medium PC requirements.
Yeah.
And now I'm not sitting here saying if you have a PC that's 5 years old, yes, you might be able to play the game, but it's definitely not going to look like the gameplay footage that we put out. Like I don't even know how many GPUs are in these machines that Grant has. It's ridiculous.
I think he's got 3. I think he was saying like 33090s or something off his tits.
Something like that. I thought it was 2, but he probably lied to me and put another one in there. So,
or he was just trying to flex. But
that could have been that as well.
That's good. But you mentioned something in there that I feel like a lot of people don't see with Illuvium. You mentioned about trying to build like one of the biggest studios. I feel like in the space at the moment, there's like a few studios that like everyone talks about and loves the fact that they're a studio making a bunch of games. And I'm sitting here watching Illuvium and I'm like, this is a studio. You've got more people than any of these other, protocols building studios. And I'm like, it's just that you guys are going all in on one game, full focus, and then once that's complete, you roll into the next game as opposed to splitting your resources across a bunch of little games. Because that is your view that Illuvium is going to be a studio, not a game.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, like, there's too many people. Like, the thing, it's frustrating, right? Like, I'm doing a bit of Googling now to try and see if anyone has ended up putting their team up on the website. And I mean, you go and look at, I don't know how many people Sky Mavis have hired in the last, since they've updated their website. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say they've doubled. Then they've got 16 people in their team. I got 200. You know what I mean? Like, and we don't really care, sort of thing. Like it's just we're doing our own thing, right? Like we can't compare ourselves. Like, we're building for 10 years time, and so if we build based on our trying to compare ourselves to studios in the blockchain, we're fucked, right? Because mainstream is going to come over and they're going to bring thousands and thousands of expert engineers, designers, and whatever. And yes, they've got to learn the crypto, but hey, it's not that hard, right? Like, I mean, it takes a god awful amount of hours and whatever. But if you look at it, Aaron was able to do it. I was able to do it. Like, there's that's not going to be the blocker. And if we're not taking this seriously, and studios that have that sort of manpower start coming over, they're just going to look at us and laugh, right? Like, that's just the reality of it. And so, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, people say that they have huge, like, ours is legit, right? Like, ours, we have that many people. You can see in our Discord, there's always like 70 people that are online. I don't know. It is what it is.
100%. And so, like, obviously, like I said, you're gonna start with this game. This is your main focus. Then you're gonna shift to the next one. Now, I saw you put a tweet out saying you didn't think Aaron could convince you about anything other than a MOBA for the next game. What did he convince you of?
I said I wouldn't. Okay, so
give us hints at least.
Okay, so think like a football manager. Think that, right? Like, football to us, soccer manager to us, but for the rest of the world, predominantly a football manager. So like your virtual management of teams. That's all I'm giving you.
Okay, I'll have to think more on that. I can't get it straight off the top of my head. Put it in the comments if anyone knows exactly what he's talking about there. But interesting. So, like, as a gaming type aspect,
it is a game, right? But it's just a weird genre of game, and
dating
it's just
sim?
made. It's not like it's a football manager. I'm forgetting what the actual genre is called. One sec.
You're easy. I mean,
Like
Aaron's got good ideas. Every time I hit him up with something, he's always like, yeah, I've already got that, but add this onto it. And that's where we're at. I'm like, shit, I'm going to stop coming up with ideas now.
I can't I'm going to give away too much. So I'm just
it's not what's definitely happening because it's all voted by the DAO. So this is just two guys talking about an idea.
The thing is that I wrote a little trolly thing in Discord the other day. Like, I've said my entire life, and this advice came from Kane, came very, very hard down from Kane, where if you have an idea, tell everyone, right? The more you tell people, the more excited you'll get about it. The more people will say, oh, I know this person who will be able to help you with that, blah, blah. Like, no one is going to steal your idea. Like, that is the amount of people that I've instilled that into when they come to me and they're like, oh, but I need you to sign an NDA. I'm like, go fuck yourself. I'm not signing shit. I don't care about your idea. Like, you're coming to me. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is going on here? And my point there is I should, based on my theory, be telling you. But I'm still not going to tell you what it is because someone could build this and it's just like,
so it's a real out of the box idea, is it?
Super. Well, it's been done. It's in the mainstream, right? It's literally a thing that, you know, it's attached to sports. Okay. Put it that way.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I'm giving you.
I won't press you anymore. I won't press you.
It's attached to sports. You can apply it to any sport, and you know, like, I still don't think, and my thesis probably rings true here, and that no one's going to go and make it and whatever, and everyone else is already too busy building their own games. And so who's just going to go, oh, Kieran said this, let's go and pivot and take Aaron's idea. But for the sake of Aaron, I won't say
that's all good, dude. That's all good.
I'll let him say it if he wants to.
Yeah, no stress, man. Aaron's not the biggest leak ever. I was hoping if anyone, it was you. But but moving on to the
That's Grant.
Yeah, Grant's actually fucking horrible. He doesn't care.
No
I don't think. That's it. But you've obviously played the game. You got really excited about it. You were pretty vocal about it as well. Like, you said you had that aha moment, like, because you were a bit late to the party because I think the others were playing it while you were on holidays, or you just didn't have access yet.
No, so what happened is I'm the only dumbass who uses a Mac and anymore. I think Aaron uses a Mac, but Aaron uses a PC, but it's he uses a virtual machine. So I'm not 100% sure which versions he was using, but there's been issues with, or there were issues with, and to be completely honest, I tried to open it up again today so I could give you a leak and literally play a battle, which I don't even know how that would have gone down. That would have been a bit of fun. But the fucking client won't open. And so I've been having these like nitty gritty issues. Then when I do get in, which was something like, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago now, when I got in, it was, you know, super slow because A, my machine's not amazing, doesn't have a good graphics card, but B, there were like bugs and stuff like that. So when when Grant gave me the password for his computer that he left here, I was like, I'm going to play it on that. And then they had an updated version as well. So I'd been overseas for 10 days or whatever, and by the time I got back, this new version was there and no one was talking about it or anything. And I just downloaded it, started playing it. And the thing for me was like they'd implemented a whole bunch of UI elements. The leaderboards were there. They'd integrated using Illuvitars as the leaderboard images. And so it just like that home screen for me was like, holy shit, this is real. This is real. And to be honest, like, I think to myself, I'm like, oh my God, that only took 14 months. But you would think I would say, oh, that only took 14 months. It genuinely feels like it has taken fucking 5 years to get to this stage. From back in lockdown in my place, like 6 months prior to even thinking about Illuvium, to now, like the amount of hours that have gone into that.
That's fucked when you say that. You were in lockdown before you were even thinking about Illuvium. The time is gone. Like, it is such a short period of time. I didn't even think about that.
Literally, I had another business that I was running, and it was right at that time that Kane was like, dude, that business is like COVID just riddled the food business, especially like delivery. And sorry, like the pickup, which is what we were focused on. And so, man, I remember being there doing like, there were days where I was trying to learn the DeFi aspects of crypto again for like not just one day, like 2 days, 3 days. And I had like 3 or 4 people staying with me at the time because of something to do with COVID or whatever. And I would have mates come up to me and they're like, dude, are you going to sleep? Like, ever? And I would just turn around and just look like this creature that had not moved. And I literally hadn't. And that's what it takes to really get yourself into a position where you can launch something in this space. And so that front-loaded 6 months or 9 months, I think it was horrific for me, like hours-wise. Then the capital raise was insane. Then everything else that has gone into it, and I haven't even put in the most hours. You know what I mean? Like I mean, it's insane what Aaron is doing, what Grant is doing, what the rest of the team is doing. You know, it's just such a large volume of work in such a short space of time to then just see it appear for the first time. I genuinely was nearly in tears. Like I was like, we've actually done this. And so, yeah, then when I started playing it, I immediately was like, fuck, forget all these other little, but like, why would I compare myself to all of these other, like, and you'll see why I'm saying that. I'm genuinely, you know, I didn't build the engine. I didn't have anything to do with the graphics or anything like that. I'm legitimately sitting here taking off my Illuvium hat, putting on just a pure gamer here. And I'm like, well, if that game exists and that game's there, once they polish that up, that genuinely could be better than TFT. Now, when that penny drops, I can't even explain the feeling that it is, because for someone like me who's a hyper optimist, I look at that and I'm now like, fuck the little competition and whatever bullshit that we were talking about before. We're in the big leagues now where, you know, we're building a game that is actually AAA and is going to be able to compete with the likes of a Pokemon and a Teamfight Tactics. It's just, it's insane.
And with that, when you compare it to like Teamfight Tactics, it's one thing for the game to be better, but because of the way the space is, it's all about the onboarding into it as well. Have you guys done any more into that? Like just one idea for me is like, even when you launch the game, are you going to keep the training grounds as a thing so that new people can come in? They can obviously do the free to play, explore, catch some tier zeros and stuff, but that way they can actually play the auto battle if that's just what they want to look at and get a feel for it. Because I don't know if your plans are, when you jump into the game, if you want to start catching alluvials, do you instantly have to link a MetaMask and stuff? Because I feel like that is going to be the biggest friction point for a lot of entry into it.
up for debate right now. We've got the predominantly gaming side of the business saying we need the ability for people to just download it and play without having to connect up your wallet. Then we've got the Web3 side of the engineers from the Solidity dev team and whatever. They're more, and myself and whatever, we're more like, it has to be Web3, right? You have to connect up your wallet and whatever. But it's, to answer it, it hasn't been decided. What is probably even more important, I think, than wallet creation, because I think you can sort of tie that into a deposit, and people get like, I deposit money into my PayPal account, right? Like, people understand digital money. It just needs to be a really easy onboarding process. Now, if it means you need a MetaMask, and that means you need to go in and figure out how to convert fiat into ETH and then transfer your ETH over into, onto layer 2 to start playing it, like, that's when it gets way
I just
too
remember,
complex.
because I'm way more fresh into this than a lot of people. I'm only 6 months in the space, and I remember I spent over a day just like researching, trying to make my, like, because you're nervous as fuck as well. Like, that's why I thought like another sort of concept. I know I saw Aaron mention it in the general chat of Discord once about how maybe tier zeros won't be NFTs or like not be sellable, because they'll end up inherently being worth pretty much nothing after the first day when the whales just want something leveled. Would it be like a way that you?
I don't think it's going to be the first day, to be honest. I think there'll be a good two to 3 months where those tier zeros, there's going to be enough. Yeah, because you got to remember, we're going to have a huge inflection of people coming in, right? Like, there's going to be a mad rush at the start, and the way that we built the game is you can't just pay to have a character. Like, you can't buy them off Illuvium, right? Like, if they don't exist, right? And so you can only, if you're a person that wants to come in and you don't want to have to go through and grind for your first 5 to 10 hours with your tier zeros and whatever, and then get to tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, you're going to have to wait until someone else finds it, right? And so I think that will last a little bit longer than most people think.
Okay. Yeah, because I was just curious, like, if you ended up going with tier zeros not being NFTs, like, then you could have that sort of onboarding of, you play the game and it's all in game until you go to purchase like your first shard or something. I don't know. It's just like one of those things. Like, I just like, from speaking to people outside of crypto, other gamers, it's just like, I mention it and they're like, do I have to set up like a crypto wallet and stuff? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, fuck that. I'm like, come on, guys.
That's what I was saying, right? So if the onboarding process, it's a fiat on-ramp. That's the key here, right? Like, people don't mind a digital wallet, right? Like, they've been exposed to that for 10, 15 years now. The concept of, I take real fiat money, I deposit it into X platform, and then I can go and send it, whatever it is. It's PayPal is the best example that I can give you in terms of what people are used to. Now, if it was deposit money and then go and set up a PayPal wallet, you'd be like, ooh, shit, what is a digital wallet? How do I do that? Where do I go? And I'm sure PayPal would lay out a process, but they don't do that. They, in the same instance of you depositing, you have a wallet, right? So you don't even give a shit, right? It's the same thing as you depositing into Steam or depositing directly into a game like League of Legends or whatever. Like, I've got credit in my League of Legends account right now. I took my credit card, I put it into that game, and they turned it into digital things that I can now use to purchase skins.
Yeah.
Was I freaked out by that? No, because it was all encompassing. The whole process. I don't even know I have a wallet. It's just that's where my $1,000 went in. That gives me, X amount of SILV or whatever you end up purchasing to get in the game or ETH or whatever. And away you go. That's
I
it.
think with crypto, the thing is like it's more the security that the amount of scams and all that shit, and like there's no like if it's a game, that they'll just print you a new digital asset that because it doesn't matter. It's not like it doesn't have value. But in crypto, you're then reliable for it. So it's hard to just say deposit money. You've got I don't know. Have you guys got any plans on doing your own wallet or anything like that? Or is it just going to be primarily
Immutable do. So Immutable have plans to, they want to make the most frictionless process possible, right? And you got to remember, these guys started off with Gods Unchained.
Yeah.
They have heard every single pain point over the last 4 years. They probably have more information about what people want and don't want in an onboarding of a crypto game than literally any other team out there.
Yeah.
Right. And so they get that. We get that also. And as long as the player doesn't know, as long as the player has an option to put in their credit card, so they're downloading a client, it asks them then, log in, set up your account, put in your credit card details, and away you go, right? If that's all you need to know, you don't need to know that your credit card when you put that deposit in, as long as you feel secure enough that you're depositing into a legitimate company or project or whatever, then you've sort of ticked that box.
Yeah.
After that, it should just be a seamless, hey, I want to cure a shard. I've got my credit card attached. If I don't have enough money to cure the shards, it's going to say, and I don't know if it's going to be automated. Maybe there's an option where you can automatically keep on topping up your ETH.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it needs to be
that's
frictionless.
Good. Because I remember in our early chats that was still like a complete unknown. So the fact that is getting developed is huge, because that was like coming into the space, that was my biggest issue. But like as long as something's getting worked on, that's awesome. And with that, we're talking about the finances. Have you put any more deep thought into like a gameplay loop, cost and time and stuff like that? Like, so how much it's going to cost you to travel plus cure shards, and then how long it will take you to do that cycle?
Yes, and well, not so much from a time standpoint. We've started building the financial models, the configurables, like you're saying, the shard fees for all the different tiers, the travel fees, what it costs to revive your alluvial, all of that kind of stuff. We have started working on with our economists. In terms of like, if you're asking like what I think the potential revenue could be, is that
I'm not too like I know a lot of people are fussed about rev dis and all that. I'm just curious on a player coming in, say they want to just pay for a travel, cure a couple shards, and go catch some alluvials. What will that cost them? Like, what's a travel?
Yeah, so I've always been saying, and I think I've even said it to you before, I've always been saying, just as a general rule, $10, right? $10 for your basic region, and then $10 for your basic shard, as in a tier 1 shard, and just been working off that logic. The economist, however, is way more, thinks that we need to go down a route of more micro transactions, rather than like, I'm talking like $2, $3 to travel, and
then more expensive on the shards.
No,
or
same.
Cheaper.
Like just reducing how much we charge for each thing, right? Just making it a lot cheaper to get around, to capture, whatever. Now, whatever the sunk cost is of capturing an alluvial is what will determine the value of it, right? Up until a certain point, obviously, once the inflation starts in terms of like there's multiple on the market and whatever, that can have different effects. But ultimately, that is what deems what the price, the value of that unit is going to be. Because who's going to go, well, it cost me $10 for a shard and it cost me $10 to travel there. You can have my RAM fee for $18. I'm happy to take a $2 loss. It just doesn't happen, right? Like, people want to get a gain out of it.
Yeah.
And so, it's more, and I don't even really, the reason why I'm getting a little bit awkward here is because I don't really want to.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to quote you on this stuff. It was just more of a rough estimate, because it's a really interesting thing, because I watch a lot of the other games that pre-sell NFTs. They pre-sell them really high, because if they sell them high, it means the stuff that people get in the game will sell high, which means they make more money off the fees. So if you can balance an economy up high, I think the general thought on that is you make more money because everything's expensive. However, you also deter a lot of players, so the lower entry would get you a lot higher player base and higher throughput of players, which then increases the revenue. So it's a really, I don't, obviously your economists are going to have the best answer at the end of the day, but it's just a really interesting thing that I've been seeing in the space, and especially in games where everyone is trying to earn, where this is something I think Illuvium will be a bit different, where people play to have fun and not just to earn. I feel like you'll have a balance in the player base. All these other games, you've just got players that all want to take money out, and inevitably you just get a big downtrend on economics. But yeah, I like that concept of cheaper, but you did mention revenue. I'll have to ask you about it, because I just thought people will fucking murder me if I don't actually let you answer that. But what's your thoughts on that?
Like, it's in the billions, in the multiple billions. It's look, it still doesn't make sense to me. It does, but it's just so jarring. Like, how do you even accept that? You know what I mean? Like, what even is that? But then you look at it, and this model has never been done before, right? Like, we have so many microtransactions throughout the game that people are happy to, if you zoom out, right? Like, and you look at the economy from a player's perspective. If I'm out there and I'm capturing an alluvial and it's costing me, say, $30, and I'm selling it for $50, and that took me 15 minutes, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do that again and again and again and again and again and again. And I'm not even just talking me. I'm more talking people who are looking to play to earn right now, right? Like, I'm looking to play to have fun. I'm just purely talking about the play to earn people, right? This loop that we have created makes people, it incentivizes people to go and capture more and more and more and more and more. Now, that effectively is your breeding, right? Yeah. Like, same thing, except, we're using the same character and saying you can catch it 1 billion times, right? Like, theoretically. Now, the issue with an economy, right? If you continue that at a certain point, when the number of people coming in and the demand drops for those assets, because you've got people and all of a sudden the amount of time and effort and the money that they put in to actually, those same people that were building up those assets, all of a sudden it's going to get to a point where it's not profitable for them, because they're going out and they're spending their $10 on traveling to the region. They're spending their $10 to cure the shard. They're capturing the RAM fee. They used to be able to sell it for $30, but because there's now 8 trillion RAM fees on the market, because we literally have 10 million players that have come in and there's only 150. At some point, these things start losing their rarity. What do? Do you shut down the game, or do you say, cut those characters, stop the bonding curve, create a whole new set, and that's how you ensure the sustainability of the economy moving forward?
I definitely think that's the genius part when you compare it to anything else that I've seen that has limitless supply. Eventually, like, you can just
can't work.
Yeah, everything becomes less valuable. Whereas with your set, you've got the flip side of, yes, the new set will be valuable when it comes because it's new and people want to get their hands on it. However, that old set is now more valuable because you can't get it anymore. So you'll get that flux. Like, I feel like you'll end up with like that sort of wave where it's like prices start high because there's not many, then it starts to dip, but then as it comes towards the end of the expansion or the set, they start going up again, and then it's like, it's that rise. But obviously not an economist, not financial advice, but that's just the way I see it playing out. And the new sets, along with the fact that you have I call them IVs, but the different base stats inside different alluvials, and then you've got the randomization of fusing them up to inherit those stats, the like real peak min-max players will burn a lot of NFTs trying to get that perfect stat, Ramfire from, fusing Ramfies and stuff like that. So those three things are what I think just really compile Illuvium into something that's different economically from anything else that we've seen so far.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And how we tie that back to your question, which is, what is the revenue going to be? Which I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you exactly, but we can look at the numbers that we have, the inputs, and we can, go, okay, if we're going to do so with what I just explained to you, the process, the loop, and whatever, you're a player now who is earning money, right? Like you're going and capturing alluvials and you're earning a premium. Maybe you're earning 30%, 40% per alluvial that you capture, right? That is a thing that if you repeat that, right? Like if that's the case, you continue to do it. You're not going to go, oh, I just made $30. I'm never playing this game again. The chances are, and again, you might, if you're from North America, that's the catch, or somewhere where earning $25, $30 a day isn't enough, right? You can't live off that, right? So I'm specifically talking about the people in developing nations. How many times they're going to make that $30 and go, what the fuck? I'm going to go do that again and do that again and do that again and again and again. And oh, this time I went out and fuck, one of my alluvials died. So not died, but fainted. So I've got to now go back and revive it. There's another fee. Actually, now I'm so into this game and I'm flexing on all my friends because I've gotten so good at it. I'm now going to get the cheetah pants as a skin on my character, right? And all of a sudden you're walking around with cheetah pants, but you paid $50 for those cheetah pants, right? So now you've got this whole game loop with all these microtransactions where the player is continually earning money. So the chances of them going, I don't want to pay this $10 and this $10 to gain access to earn $40, like that, who would want that, right? They're not. They're just going to repeat it as much as possible, playing 20 hours a day, right? Which I don't condone, but I think that's what's going to happen. Now, my point around all of this is there is no game out there on blockchain that has this setup. It's not tested. And a lot of people have copied our tokenomics and whatever, and I'm keen to see how they're, how it works in their system. But ours is a very, very unique system that the world has never, ever seen, right? And so it makes it unbelievably hard to predict. But where it gets scary is you start thinking, if that's one player, right, and they go out and they do that 10 times, right? That's $200. Now, if you got 1 million people spending $200 a day in a game, and then you multiply that out by 365, there's your revenue.
Yeah.
And
I think the other layer that I forgot to mention that Illuvium has, which is a requirement for this whole system to work, is like the quality game with a competitive scene, because then you're going to get those players in who don't want to waste their time grinding to get those alluvials. They just want what they want when they want it, and they'll buy it to be able to compete with it and practice with it. Like, that's what a lot of the other games lack, is that incentive for players who just want to spend money and play a game. They lack that, and you end up with more earners than spenders, and that's what crashes everything. And I think that's the key point to Illuvium. And one other side thing, I'm trying to figure out how you got there. Are you wearing cheetah pants or something? Is that how you got there?
It's just
cheetah pants. I had no idea. I was like thinking Christmas hat or something.
Cheetah pants could be pretty cool. I was thinking Arlen walking around with cheetah pants. I don't know. Maybe I've got a thing for cheetahs.
Okay,
I don't know.
That's good. No,
it wasn't a sexual thing or anything like that. It was literally just the first thing that came to my head. But you know what? I'm like, this is why I can't talk about revenue, because what we were just talking about is a very easy concept for people to grasp, right? If the game's good, that's what people are going to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's very, very simple. And I'm not even talking about the people then who want to have fun and start going into the Leviathan arena where we make 5% of those battles, or then, the marketplace fees or anything like that. Like, we're already at $200 million if 1 million players spend $200 a day, right? Like, now $200 million. Do you know how much liquidity we have right now in our sushi pool? Like 50 million. Can you imagine what would happen to the price of Illuvium if on a daily basis, even 10% of those numbers, like, call me an absolute lunatic, insane, crazy person, right? But I mean, to do that, let's reduce this by 10%. Down by 10%, sorry. You're by 90%, sorry. You're literally going to end up with like $20 million a day of buybacks. What the fuck does that do to the price? 100%. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm keen to see it. I hate speculating on, like, as much as like you probably hate it as well, because everyone takes what you say as the word and like this is what it's going to be. But yeah, I just want to get the shit and start playing and just see it happen. Because to be honest, like I said, I think at the end of the day, good economics can only support or like supplement to a good game. Without the good game, I don't think anything in the space is actually going to last, because you need people that want to spend in your game anyway. And I think that's the underlying factor. But obviously, once you get that, then it's infinitely scalable as long as your ratios of earners to spenders stay level.
Yeah,
because then it can sustain as long as you want. And obviously,
100%.
New sets of alluvials. Now, with the beta, talking about alluvials, how many alluvials are going to be in the closed beta? In the training grounds?
Closed beta, I think there's around about 35, maybe 40. I'm just going off what I've actually seen and played myself. I think about 30 to 40, but don't quote me on that.
Sick.
But it's a decent, like,
it's a
genuinely
good sample size. Yeah. You get an experience of what like different affinities do, what different classes do, and all that sort of shit. And because we're going down that road of earning and stuff like that, because I've heard you guys talk about, you've got big plans for guilds and stuff like that. Can you elaborate on like what the guild side of Illuvium is going to look like, as in like, you're like Polymos, YGGs, all that sort of stuff? Yeah,
so we're going to basically, the first step is a very, very basic, I guess it's an account and owner situation, right? Where you have you have a person who owns the asset. You have the ability then to, I guess, loan that out to or give custody of that asset over to this lower layer still inside your account. And so you still have control over your assets. It allows you to be able to run your scholarships and stuff like that. But there's no inbuilt payment system. There's no like analytics or anything like that. It's literally just so guilds can have the ability to not be losing their assets.
Yep.
To rogue scholars that because they don't have custody, they just decided, hey, fuck you, I'm going to run off with my assets. The long-term goal, and this is probably, I don't even know if I want to say this.
Don't have to.
So
it's not the biggest stress.
I know.
You can tell me what the other game is, though.
So yeah, no, I'm definitely not going to tell you what the other game is. But yeah, like we want to. I think there's a fundamental flaw with guilds right now, and I think that if it's not fixed, it very may well. I thought about this about 4 or 5 months ago, so there's a very high chance that someone's already building it. That's just how crypto works, and I hope they are, right? Because ideally, I don't want to have to build this, but I just started having conversations today with Johnny about building, like, I'm talking a fully fledged platform that allows guilds to literally plug in, and then not just guilds, also players that want to gain access that don't have the capital up front. So instead of a scholarship program, we're borderline thinking of literally building, and I mean, I literally just came up with this idea. So like, as in the idea for us to build it. And it's basically going to have the ability for people to stake assets and then lend assets as well.
Yeah.
So that I think is the final piece to the puzzle. It helps out guilds. It means that they don't need to hold on to the assets, because I think that's a very stupid thing to do. In especially over the next 12 months, you go and buy $1 million worth of assets in a game, and then that game turns out to be dog shit, and everyone moves over to a new game. You're kind of screwed.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a platform that I don't even think Johnny's into it, but he's kind of like, dude, we got a lot on our plate. So that this might be another situation where they banish me to build my own team, like with Illuvitars, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because that's something I've always thought about. Illuvium's a little bit different because you do have the free-to-play entry, so people can get in and experience the game. But yeah, I always thought about like a way where you simply stake away your NFTs in these games, and then any new player, it's like they just walk in and they can pick up whatever they want off the shelf, and then anything they earn in the game is instantly split between themselves and the owner of that asset.
100%.
So it's like a seamless onboarding to be able to play with the stuff, and it's split, and then it gives you a usage. But
how does this not exist? Yeah, right? Like you've got Yeah, you go. Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, it's like Illuvium is that bit different though, because the earning isn't as straightforward as other games where it's like you're just going to play and get, token drops, and that's your straight earning. So I don't know if it's like the best model for Illuvium, but in a lot of the other games I'm seeing where it's like straight, you play, you earn tokens. It's like, just have a system. You just stake that NFT. Someone new comes in, goes, I'm just using that free of charge, but anything I earn, 50, 70, however much percent of those tokens goes straight to the owner of that NFT. If you have to make a team of like, say, 4 NFTs, it gets split between the 4 owners of those NFTs. I just feel like that is just such a basic thing that makes easy onboarding and gives use to assets that people aren't using.
Yeah, and look, I've thought very, very deeply about about this. And the reason is because I think it's going to hurt guilds hugely in the long run. The ones that are like I'm advising a few guilds, and the ones that are just loading up on assets, I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking like, what are you doing? And that's what got me on to thinking, okay, why isn't there a platform where you can do this? And, you know, obviously this was like 4 months ago. And we were like at this stage of we need to get the game out, blah, blah, blah. Still the case, but I'm sitting here and we're 4 months on, and I'm speaking to a few projects that come to me and they're like, hey, we're, you know, doing X, Y, Z for guilds, like analytics and payments and shit. I'm like, telling these people you need to build a platform. On one side of it is your lending platform, right? That's where you have a whole bunch of people. And I'm not talking just Illuvium. I'm talking if we go and build this will be available to literally all games. It'll be a situation where almost like where we list you, right? Where you need to be a good enough game where we list you. Once we list you, you tell your community, hey, if you have any dormant assets because you have 7 squizzes and you only need 1, then why don't you take the 6, stake them into our platform? You'll earn staking rewards. B, you'll earn interest from a percentage of whatever the person who's borrowing it earns in the game. The way that you solve that is you just have an oracle that knows the price of each of the NFTs. You can average it, do whatever you want. You work out, okay, he sold that NFT, he netted X amount, therefore, and this is all done at a contract level, therefore, Y goes to the lender, X goes to the scholarship owner if you know if it has to be, if they, you know, if they do have a scholarship and whatever, then sure, 30% goes to them. But effectively, this removes the need for scholarships because, and it's permissionless. It's exactly what we need. Like this whole onboarding process of guilds right now, in my opinion, is so cumbersome. It's just like, I'm still getting people that are literally hitting me up going, hey, I need a scholarship. And it's like, how the fuck has no one built a platform for this? We've got guilds out there that are raising at $10 billion valuations, right? Like several of them. And so there's so much money sitting in these businesses, and they're just going out and acquiring hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of assets. With that, like, I would like to know.
Wait, dude, you got to go gentle on them. They bought too many Axies at 2K.
They're going to buy too many fucking alluvials.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. I'm saying it's a broken system.
Yeah.
I'm not having a go at anyone personally or whatever. The way that I see it right now, it's not scalable. It's a broken system. If you have a permissionless platform that's fully decentralized, where I don't give a fuck where the asset's coming from, I don't care who's onboarding. I don't know. I don't care which guild or whatever like that. Like, sure, go to the guilds for what a guild is meant to be, which is helping me, educating me, putting me in teams, giving me friendship, giving me the camaraderie that I want as I go through my World of Warcraft journey. It was never to fucking
be venture capitalists.
Give you collateral and shit like that.
Yeah.
For me, it can all go. It literally doesn't need to exist. Obviously, guilds can exist, and I fucking hope they do. I've put about 300 grand into them in the past 12 months, but I can't stop. Like when I have these conversations with these guilds, I don't even know how we got onto this tangent, but like, I can't help but think that platform is just begging to exist. The platform makes a fee. The user's happy because he just had dormant, illiquid assets that were doing nothing. So he's happy to lend them out. The scholar then isn't a scholar. He's just a dude that comes in and you have a collateralization ratio. And if he ends up going below that, so you are going to get some people that are shit at the game that burn the system in terms of they're not making a net profit. The lender isn't going to make any money, blah, blah, blah. But the whole system should net positive, right? And you can easily build it so it does. And if that's the case, there's no risk to the guilds. They don't have to hold any stock, which is perfect. They can do what they do best, which is, you know, educate people. The guy is now no longer, you know, in a worker-employee relationship, which is kind of fucking weird for a game, to be honest. I think he should just be able to just go, hey, I'm going to borrow that asset and away I go. And once I get up to, you know, a certain stage, thank you very much, I'm going to pay back my loan. Mr. Lender is happy because he's just made 10% over the last 3 months. He wouldn't have made that anyway. They were dormant squizzes. And you're going to get this circular motion where the dude or scholar, if we have to keep on calling them scholars, is going to turn into a good user, and then he's probably going to have excess squizzes. And then what do you think he's going to do? He's going to lend them to the system, and away it goes. And more people come in. The only risk then is to the dude who has the 6 squizzes, and it's like, who cares about that guy? Like, that was his choice. You know, he's already got him, whatever.
Well, I think you guys should build it so it's extra revenue distribution.
Well, so I've been explaining this to people for so long. Even internally, I said to Aaron, and like, there's just so much shit to solve, right? This is the thing. Like, I was saying to someone the other day, like, you can pick up a rock and you're like, oh wow, there's a business idea in crypto that hasn't been done. Like, there's so, like, what are guilds? Like, where did guilds come from? Like, how did guilds have billion-dollar valuations? You know, it's because this is a fucking bleeding edge new space that opportunities are just everywhere. 100%. Right? So, but if no one's willing to build it, fuck it, we'll build it ourselves.
Definitely. Anyway, I've held you for over an hour now. We'll wrap it up, but there's one last question that I got asked a lot to ask this one, and that is to do with multi-language. Are you guys going to support multiple languages with the launch of the game?
Not with the launch, but it is something that we want to obviously invest in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, dude, we got on a solid tangent there.
Oh, yeah, I've missed like my entire marketing meeting. Jesus Christ. Fuck, I go on a tangent. Sorry about that.
No, sorry, man. Anyway, thanks again, dude. We'll probably jump on in a couple of weeks, see where we're at, if we need an update or something like that. But appreciate you coming on and glad to see you getting better, dude.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks. As always, I love talking to you.